I hate it. It goes against the grain. It chaps me. It rubs me the wrong way. I do not like it. You cannot overfund a policy. Hello and welcome to the Durham Talents channel. My name is Jesse Durham. We're back for another installment in our myths, mysteries, and misconceptions series, where today I'm going to address the odious phrase, overfund life insurance, or overfunded life insurance. So let's start with, I don't know where to start. If you're already a client, or you're already on your journey of being and becoming your own banker, you may hear other folks talk about overfunded life insurance, and we're going to get to that. If you're vetting this idea, you'll probably come across something where somebody's talking about overfunding your life insurance policy. So I want to say that I know most times, if I listen to a whole clip or a whole message from somebody, I know where they're coming from when they say that. Now, if the clip's too short, I can't even tell. I don't have enough context, and you won't either. So again, let me preface by saying, let's go to the original source. If you're vetting or implementing the idea of becoming your own banker, of the infinite banking concept, then go by what R. Nelson Nash says in his book, Becoming Your Own Banker. So let me give you a technical answer real quick. Can you overfund a whole life policy? Yes, you could pay more than a policy has been scheduled or may even be built to receive as extra paid up additions premiums. So you may be able to pay more premiums that will change the tax treatment of that contract. So it's still a contract, it's still a policy, but it is possible for a life insurance policy to become a modified endowment contract. MEC, modified endowment contract, commonly referred to as a MEC, in the insurance world. So recognize that you should be aware how you're funding a policy and why, of course, if you're implementing the infinite banking concept. Also, you can know that insurance companies have systems in place. Now, I'm not saying that we should rely on the insurance companies to catch these things, that we pay more premium than we are supposed to, if we're trying to maintain a greater tax treatment, a better, more favorable tax treatment on a policy, and not convert it into a modified endowment contract, but just keep it as a life insurance policy simply as it is. So again, there's a technical answer right there. Can you pay so much that a policy becomes a modified endowment contract? Yes, you can. And when you say overfunded, or when you hear overfunded, people are meaning that, okay, that exists. That is a thing for sure. Now, what I really know that many folks are saying is, and I believe this is happening in two different spheres. If you were to go to a conventional insurance company, you walk into that box store and you talk to that box store agent, you tell them, I want a policy. And if you have the wherewithal to say, I'd actually like a high cash value policy, or I want to overfund. Let's say you use the vernacular that's used so often, and you say, I want to overfund my policy. And that person, and that box store is going to be happy to sell you a product and let it be an quote unquote overfunded whole life policy for you. Because again, they're just in the business of selling policies, of providing that valuable service. I'm not trying to disparage that. Or perhaps you know a bit more about the infinite banking concept, and even in the infinite banking world, folks that particularly work with banking clients, folks that are looking to implement or are implementing the infinite banking concept, this overfunded word still makes its way here in this sphere. And I'm just saying that it shouldn't. I don't want to be lazy in my language, and I'm going to encourage everybody that's either already implemented this process or is vetting this process of becoming your own banker to avoid altogether that word. I don't even like saying it, but I feel like this is a valuable thing to cover. And again, here we are addressing myths and misconceptions and the mysteries around the IBC, around infinite banking. So we have to talk about overfunding because it's happening. It's being purported. So you cannot overfund a policy. It is another answer that I'm going to give right now. So again, maybe I should have covered this when I was technically covering what a MEC is, a modified endowment contract. So when you have a contract with a company, a whole life policy contract, that is a unilateral contract. That company has approved you based off of your health and income and age and all these different things, insurance, characteristics, to have this contract with them where you have agreed to pay a certain amount of premium, and they have agreed to pay a certain amount of guaranteed death benefit upon your demise, and give you a certain amount of cash value at whatever point in time, to give you a dividend based off the general performance of the company, and everything else that's in that contract. Okay? So it's a unilateral contract between you and the insurance company. You're paying the premiums, they're providing everything else. And that's what's the contract. That's what, if you've agreed to be paying $10,000. Now, I'm not saying here, you got to listen to the whole conversation here. I'm not saying, I've covered this many times, and I will continue to, as one of the greatest virtues of a properly structured policy with a great company is that there is massive, or there can be massive flexibility in that policy when it comes to, can I pay a fraction of my scheduled premiums if I have a financial hardship? Yes, you can. Can I pay my premiums yearly instead of monthly? Yes, I can. Quarterly instead of biannually? Yes, I can. Can I pay above and beyond my scheduled premiums? Yes, you can. Again, you need to know what your contract is like, with who, and everything therein, okay? But yes, you can. It is possible. I do it, and I help other people do it. So yes, while there is this great flexibility, at the same time, that's not you overfunding the policy. See, insurance is in an industry that's highly regulated. Okay? Every state has their commission, their department. Okay? And this is a highly regulated industry. And there are limits. Again, I've already referenced the MEC. Okay, so there are limits on these contracts. And you could know what they are. And you can't go back beyond that. You cannot overfund beyond that. Now, again, many times when people are saying overfunding, they're just trying to talk about conventional life insurance, and they're trying to say pay more premiums. Well, there's a difference between paying significant premiums, high premiums, relative for you, whatever that may be, and overfunding. My cup runneth over. I guess that's the scripture that comes to my mind right here. We all know, and I'm not talking about glass half full or half empty, but I'm saying that we all know what an empty cup looks like, a full cup looks like, and a cup that's so full that it's running over. Okay, it runneth over. You can't overfund a policy. You can only fund a policy within its limits, those contractual limits, whatever they may be. And to that point, just remember that if you are implementing the infinite banking concept, just remember this, that Nash says that ultimately you are going to be addressing how to build a system of policies in your life over the course of your lifetime to account for all of your needs of finance. So you're not going to be able to completely become your own banker probably with one policy. You're going to be building a system of policies over your lifetime. And again, each one of those policies can and should be with a mutual company that pays dividends. It should be properly structured from the get-go based off of your individual circumstances, both now and looking into the future. Remember, Nash would talk about thinking long range, but again, it should make sense for you right now as well and provide you that flexibility that we were also just talking about. That way, if you hit a financial hardship or if you have some windfall, to be able to accommodate as much as possible for your need of finance. but without overfunding. Because when that policy reaches its limits, for example, my wife and I have already said, I think recently, how we are going on our 9th year of becoming our own banker. And when we got our first policy, we began using that policy immediately to eradicate debt out of our lives, student loans, car, credit cards, all kinds of things. And over the course of the past going on 9 years, we have acquired other policies as well, because that first policy, we were maxing out its utility. It could only receive a certain amount of premiums, even extra premiums. There were limits. And when we felt those limits and wanted to move beyond those by capitalizing more, we got another policy. And then we got another policy. And we just systematically built that out over time to where now, going into our 9th year of practicing IBC, we have 6 policies currently, plan on acquiring more over the course of our lifetime. But we've not overfunded because you can't. And I'm going to do my part to eradicate that odious term. So if you have any remaining questions about this misconception, it's just simply a misconception. And there are probably plenty of folks out there that, like myself, we may have gotten lazy in our language at points. And I'm just wanting to clarify that. But if you have any remaining questions on this point of high cash value policies, IBC style policies, overfunding, not overfunding, anything, put that down in the comment section. Or if you'd like to simply have a conversation about how to implement the infinite banking concept into your household or your business or your investing, then don't hesitate to reach out. If you have any suggestions of what you'd like me to cover next, you can also put that in the comment section. And please feel free to share this with anyone that you would like to see financially independent and autonomous. Have a great day. I look forward to our next conversation. Take care. Overfunding. A bunch of Ron Weasley would say, what a load of waffles. If you don't know who that is, don't worry about it. And if you do, we just became friends, didn't we? All right.